The world was in ruins. Once a bustling cityscape, it had been reduced to a desolate wasteland of twisted metal and scorched earth. Smoke hung heavy in the air, mingling with the scent of ash and decay. Amongst the debris, a young boy, barely 12 years old, moved with the cautious precision of a seasoned survivor. His name was Liam. His hair, matted with dirt and grime, partially obscured a fresh, jagged scar that ran across his cheek. The boy's uniform, once a vibrant camouflage, was now nothing more than tattered rags clinging to his slender frame. Liam's eyes, sharp and alert, scanned the landscape. He had been alone for weeks, ever since the last brutal assault had taken his parents. The boy's grip tightened around the rifle slung across his shoulder. Every sense was heightened, every muscle tense. Yet, today felt different. There was an uneasy stillness that set his nerves on edge. He could feel an invisible presence, as if eyes were watching him from the shadows. The soft whimper of an animal broke the eerie silence. Liam's heart leaped into his throat as he followed the sound, stepping carefully over broken glass and jagged metal. There, amidst the wreckage, lay a dog. The creature was covered in dirt and blood, its fur matted and filthy. Each shallow breath it took seemed to cost it immense effort. Liam's chest tightened at the sight. Here was another life on the brink of being extinguished, another soul suffering in silence. Moving slowly, Liam crouched beside the injured animal. "Hey there, buddy," he murmured, his voice gentle and soothing. The dog's eyes flickered open, revealing a glimmer of hope amidst the pain. Liam reached out a tentative hand, his fingers brushing against the dog's filthy fur. "It's okay. You're not alone." For the next few days, Liam dedicated himself to nursing the dog back to health. He named the dog Rust, inspired by the creature's matted, rust-colored fur. Every scavenged morsel of food was shared, every drop of water carefully rationed. Liam used whatever rudimentary medical supplies he could find to tend to Rust's wounds. Despite the hardship, a bond quickly formed between them. They were two survivors, finding solace in each other's company. Rust, though weakened, showed a remarkable will to live. The dog's eyes, once clouded with pain, now held a spark of gratitude and determination. He seemed to understand that Liam needed him as much as he needed Liam. Together, they navigated the treacherous landscape, evading enemy patrols and scavenging for sustenance. Rust's keen senses and loyalty were invaluable, and Liam's quick thinking kept them both alive. One evening, as they huddled in the remnants of a collapsed building, Rust's low growl pierced the stillness. Liam's heart pounded as he peered through a crack in the wall. A group of hostile soldiers was approaching, their voices low and menacing. Fear gripped him, but he knew they couldn't stay hidden. They had to move, and fast. With Rust at his side, Liam slipped out of their hiding place, darting through the shadows with the agility of a cat. They moved in perfect sync, every step silent and measured, but the soldiers were closing in. A sudden shot rang out, a bullet whizzing past Liam's head. He stumbled, hitting the ground hard. Rust sprang into action, his growl transforming into a fierce bark as he lunged at their attackers. Rust's bravery gave Liam the crucial moments he needed to recover. He raised his rifle, his hands steady despite the adrenaline coursing through his veins. Each shot was precise, each movement calculated. Rust fought with a ferocity that belied his injuries, his body moving with incredible agility. Together, they managed to drive the soldiers away, their attackers retreating into the night. Exhausted and wounded, Liam and Rust found shelter in an abandoned warehouse. As Liam tended to Rust's new injuries, he couldn't help but marvel at the dog's unwavering loyalty. "You saved my life," he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. Rust licked his hand, his eyes speaking volumes. They were in this together. Come what may. Days turned into weeks as they continued their perilous journey through the devastated landscape. Along the way, they encountered other survivors, children like Liam, who had lost everything to the relentless war. They formed a small, tight-knit group, each member contributing to their collective survival. Liam emerged as their leader, his courage and resourcefulness inspiring hope in the darkest of times. Together, they navigated the perils of their new world, finding strength in their unity and resilience. And through it all, Rust remained by Liam's side, a steadfast companion in a world gone mad. Their journey was far from over, but for the first time in a long while, they had found a glimmer of hope amidst the darkness. Days bled into weeks as Liam and Rust continued their treacherous journey through the war-ravaged landscape. They navigated through crumbling buildings and past abandoned vehicles, always vigilant for any signs of danger. The trust between the boy and his dog grew stronger with each passing day. Rust's injuries gradually healed, but the dog's fierce loyalty never wavered. Liam's leadership and quick thinking had transformed their small group of survivors into a tight-knit family. Among them were Sarah, a sharp-eyed girl with a knack for finding hidden supplies, and Marco, a quiet boy whose strength belied his slender frame. Together, they faced the relentless challenges of their world with resilience and determination. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the desolate terrain, Liam gathered the group around a small fire. The flickering flames provided a semblance of warmth and security amidst the encroaching darkness. Sarah handed out meager portions of food, and the group ate in silence, their minds weighed down by the constant struggle for survival. As they finished their meal, Rust suddenly perked up, his ears twitching. A low growl rumbled in his throat. Liam's senses went on high alert. He trusted Rust's instincts implicitly. The dog had saved his life more than once, and he knew better than to ignore the warning signs. "Get ready," Liam whispered, his voice barely audible over the crackling fire. The group quickly doused the flames and took up defensive positions, their eyes scanning the shadows for any sign of movement. Moments later, a small figure emerged from the darkness. It was a girl, no older than Liam, her clothes torn and dirty. Her eyes were wide with fear, and she clutched a makeshift spear in her trembling hands. Rust stepped forward, his posture protective but not aggressive. Liam held up a hand to stop the group from attacking. "Wait," he said, stepping forward cautiously. "We're not going to hurt you. What's your name?" The girl's eyes darted around, assessing the situation. "Mia," she replied, her voice shaky. "I've been running from them. The soldiers, they're close." The mention of soldiers set the group on edge. They knew all too well the brutality of the enemy forces. "Come with us," Liam said, extending a hand. "We can help you." Mia hesitated for a moment before taking Liam's hand. She joined their group, and they quickly moved to find a more secure location. They settled in the ruins of an old factory, its steel beams providing some semblance of shelter. As they huddled together, Mia shared her story. She had been separated from her family during an attack and had been on the run ever since. The soldiers were relentless, and she had barely escaped with her life. Her eyes filled with tears as she recounted her ordeal. Liam's heart ached for Mia. He knew the pain of loss all too well. "You're safe with us now," he assured her. "We'll protect each other." The next day, they set out to gather supplies. Liam, Rust, and Sarah ventured into the city, leaving Marco and Mia to guard their base. The streets were eerily quiet, the silence punctuated only by the distant sounds of conflict. They moved cautiously, always on the lookout for danger. As they turned a corner, they stumbled upon a group of soldiers looting a store. Liam's heart pounded in his chest. They were outnumbered and outgunned, but they couldn't afford to let the soldiers take what little was left. "We have to distract them," Liam whispered to Sarah. "I'll create a diversion. You and Rust get inside and grab what you can." Sarah nodded, her expression determined. "Be careful," she said. Liam took a deep breath and sprinted towards a pile of rubble, knocking over a stack of metal pipes. The clatter echoed through the streets, drawing the soldiers' attention. "Over here!" he shouted, running in the opposite direction. The soldiers took the bait, chasing after Liam. Meanwhile, Sarah and Rust slipped into the store, quickly gathering supplies. Rust's keen senses helped them locate hidden caches of food and water. They moved swiftly, knowing they had little time before the soldiers realized the ruse. Outside, Liam darted through alleyways and over debris, using his knowledge of the city's layout to his advantage. He could hear the soldiers shouting, their footsteps growing louder. Just when he thought they were about to catch up, Rust and Sarah emerged from the store, their arms laden with supplies. "Go!" Liam yelled, and the trio sprinted back towards their base. The soldiers were hot on their heels, but Liam had a plan. As they approached the factory, Marco and Mia were waiting, armed and ready. They unleashed a barrage of makeshift weapons, catching the soldiers off guard. The fight was brutal, but the group's unity and determination prevailed. They managed to drive the soldiers away, securing the supplies they desperately needed. As they regrouped, panting and bruised, Liam couldn't help but feel a surge of pride. They had faced overwhelming odds and come out victorious. That night, as they sat around a small fire, the group shared a rare moment of peace. They laughed and talked, their spirits lifted by their recent triumph. Mia, now fully integrated into their family, smiled for the first time since they had met her. Rust lay by Liam's side, his head resting on the boy's lap. Liam stroked the dog's fur, feeling a deep sense of gratitude for his loyal companion. Together, they had survived another day, and with each passing moment, their bond grew stronger. As the fire crackled and the stars shone overhead, Liam looked around at his makeshift family. They were all survivors, united by their shared struggle. And in that moment, he knew they would face whatever challenges lay ahead together. They were no longer just a group of lost children. They were a family, bound by blood, loyalty, and an unbreakable bond. The weeks continued to pass in a blur of survival and camaraderie. Liam and his group became more adept at navigating the dangerous landscape, their bond growing stronger with each challenge they faced. Rust, now fully healed, was a constant source of comfort and protection. His keen instincts and fierce loyalty made him an invaluable member of their makeshift family. One evening, as the group settled down in an abandoned apartment building, an unexpected sound broke the stillness. It was a faint, crackling noise, followed by a distant voice. Liam's heart raced as he realized it was coming from an old radio they had found days earlier but assumed was broken. He quickly adjusted the dials, trying to catch the signal more clearly. "This is Captain Anderson of the Resistance. We need help. Coordinates are 45.76 minus 122.67. Please, if anyone can hear this, we need reinforcements." The plea for help hung in the air, heavy with desperation. Liam's mind raced. The coordinates were close, and the urgency in the captain's voice left no room for hesitation. He turned to his group, their faces illuminated by the dim glow of the radio's display. "We have to help them," Liam declared, his voice firm. "This might be our chance to make a real difference." The group exchanged nervous glances, but their trust in Liam was unshakable. Sarah stepped forward, her eyes filled with determination. "We're with you, Liam. Whatever it takes." Marco and Mia nodded in agreement. Rust, sensing the gravity of the situation, barked once, a sound that seemed to echo their resolve. Together, they gathered their supplies and set out under the cover of darkness, the coordinates guiding their path. The journey was fraught with peril. They moved swiftly and silently, their senses heightened by the constant threat of enemy patrols. The terrain was unforgiving, with crumbling buildings and debris strewn across their path. Each step was a calculated risk, every sound a potential danger. As they approached the coordinates, the distant sounds of battle grew louder. Gunfire and explosions echoed through the night, a stark reminder of the conflict raging all around them. Liam's heart pounded in his chest, but he pushed the fear aside. They had come too far to turn back now. When they reached the resistance base, it was under heavy attack. The scene was chaotic, with resistance fighters struggling to hold their ground against a well-armed enemy force. Liam took in the situation quickly, formulating a plan. "Sarah, Marco, you flank them from the right. Mia and I will take the left. Rust, stay close and be ready." The group sprang into action, moving with the precision and unity they had honed over weeks of survival. Sarah and Marco maneuvered through the shadows, their makeshift weapons at the ready. Mia, despite her initial fear, had grown into a fierce fighter, her spear an extension of her determination. Liam and Mia crept along the left side of the battlefield, using the cover of debris to approach the enemy. Rust stayed by Liam's side, his ears pricked and eyes alert. As they drew closer, Liam could see the desperation in the resistance fighters' faces. They were outnumbered and outgunned, their resolve beginning to waver. With a nod to Mia, Liam signaled the attack. They emerged from the shadows, taking the enemy by surprise. Liam's rifle cracked in the night, each shot finding its mark. Mia's spear flashed in the dim light, her movements swift and deadly. Rust lunged at the nearest soldier, his powerful jaws clamping down with unyielding force. The sudden assault from both flanks turned the tide of the battle. The enemy, caught off guard by the ferocity of the attack, began to falter. The resistance fighters, inspired by the unexpected reinforcements, rallied with renewed vigor. Together they pushed the enemy back, reclaiming the base inch by hard-fought inch. As the dust settled and the last echoes of gunfire faded, Captain Anderson approached Liam and his group, a look of profound gratitude etched on his weary face. "You saved us," he said, his voice filled with awe. "We were on the brink of defeat, and you turned the tide." Liam, his face smeared with dirt and sweat, shook the captain's hand. "We heard your call for help. We couldn't just stand by and do nothing." The captain nodded, his eyes reflecting a newfound hope. "You're brave, all of you. And we could use fighters like you. Will you join us?" Liam looked at his group, seeing the determination and resolve mirrored in their faces. They had found purpose in their struggle, and now they had a chance to make a real difference. "We're in," he replied, his voice steady. "Together, we'll fight." That night, as they sat around a makeshift fire within the now secured resistance base, the group allowed themselves a moment of rest. The victory had come at a cost, but it had also brought them closer together. They were no longer just surviving. They were fighting for a future, for a chance to rebuild a world that had been torn apart. Rust lay beside Liam, his head resting on the boy's lap. Liam stroked the dog's fur, feeling a deep sense of gratitude and pride. They had faced overwhelming odds and emerged victorious, not as individuals, but as a united force. As the fire crackled and the stars shone above, Liam knew their journey was far from over. But with Rust by his side and his friends at his back, he felt ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. They were a family, bound by their shared struggle and unwavering loyalty, and together they would fight for a new dawn. With their place in the resistance solidified, Liam and his group found themselves at the heart of a growing movement. The resistance base was a hive of activity, filled with people who had been brought together by a shared desire to fight back against their oppressors. Liam, Sarah, Marco, Mia, and Rust quickly integrated into this new world, their skills and bravery earning them the respect of seasoned fighters. One morning, as they gathered for a briefing, Captain Anderson addressed the assembled fighters. "We've received intelligence on a crucial enemy supply depot. Taking it out would cripple their operations and give us a significant advantage. But it's heavily guarded. This will be our most dangerous mission yet." Liam felt a surge of determination. He knew the risks, but he also knew the potential rewards. He glanced at his friends, each of them ready to do whatever it took. "We'll do it," he said, stepping forward. "We've faced worse odds before." The captain nodded, his expression grim. "You'll need to move quickly and strike hard. Gather your gear and be ready to move out at dusk." As the sun set, painting the sky with hues of orange and red, the group prepared for the mission. They checked their weapons, packed their supplies, and reviewed their plan one last time. Rust stayed close to Liam, his presence a comforting reminder of their bond and shared purpose. The journey to the supply depot was fraught with tension. They moved under the cover of darkness, avoiding patrols and using the terrain to their advantage. Every step was a calculated risk, every sound a potential threat. But they moved with purpose, their unity and determination driving them forward. When they finally reached the depot, it was just as heavily guarded as the captain had warned. Armed soldiers patrolled the perimeter, their watchful eyes scanning for any sign of intruders. Liam and his team crouched behind a row of abandoned vehicles, formulating their plan. "Sarah, you and Marco take out the guards on the left. Mia and I will handle the right. Rust, stay with me and be ready to move when I signal," Liam whispered, his voice barely audible. They nodded, their expressions steely with resolve. The operation began with Sarah and Marco silently taking down the guards on their side. Their movements were swift and precise, each takedown executed flawlessly. On the right, Liam and Mia moved with equal efficiency, neutralizing the remaining sentries. The way was clear. With the perimeter secured, they advanced towards the main building. Inside, they found rows of crates filled with weapons, ammunition, and medical supplies. It was a treasure trove that could turn the tide of the war. But they couldn't celebrate just yet. They needed to destroy the depot and escape before reinforcements arrived. Liam set the charges, carefully placing explosives at key structural points. As he worked, Rust stayed by his side, his ears twitching at every sound. The dog's presence was a constant reminder of their shared mission and the stakes they faced. Just as they finished setting the last charge, the sound of approaching vehicles reached their ears. Reinforcements were coming. "We need to move! Now!" Liam ordered, his voice urgent. They sprinted towards the exit, their hearts pounding. They burst out of the building just as the first enemy soldiers arrived. Gunfire erupted and they took cover behind a stack of crates. Liam pressed the detonator and the night was shattered by a series of explosions. The depot went up in flames, the shockwave knocking soldiers off their feet. Seizing the moment, Liam and his team fought their way through the chaos, their movements coordinated and precise. Rust led the charge, his fierce growls striking fear into their enemies. The enemy soldiers, disoriented and demoralized by the destruction of their supplies, began to retreat. Liam's team pushed forward, their determination unwavering. They reached the edge of the depot where Captain Anderson and a squad of resistance fighters were waiting to cover their escape. Together, they fought their way back to the rendezvous point, every step a testament to their resolve. As they regrouped at the resistance base, the sense of victory was palpable. They had struck a significant blow against the enemy, and their success galvanized the entire resistance. Captain Anderson approached Liam, his expression one of deep respect. "You did it," he said. "You all did. This is a turning point." Liam nodded, exhaustion mingling with pride. "We couldn't have done it without everyone working together. This was a team effort." That night, as they sat around a fire, the mood was lighter than it had been in months. Laughter and conversation flowed easily, a stark contrast to the constant tension they had grown accustomed to. Mia, her eyes sparkling with newfound confidence, shared stories of their exploits with other fighters, while Marco and Sarah planned their next moves. Rust lay beside Liam, his head resting on the boy's lap. Liam stroked his fur, feeling the steady rise and fall of the dog's breathing. He looked around at his friends, each one a testament to resilience and courage. They had faced unimaginable odds and emerged victorious. Together, they had become more than just a group of survivors. They were a family, united by their shared struggle and unbreakable bond. As the fire crackled and the stars twinkled above, Liam knew their fight was far from over. But with Rust by his side and his friends at his back, he felt ready to face whatever came next. They had proven their strength and determination, and now they had the power to make a real difference. Their journey would continue, but they would face it together, united and unyielding. The success of the mission to destroy the enemy supply depot had given the resistance a crucial advantage. Morale was high, and the fighters were more united than ever. Liam and his group had become key players in the fight, their bravery and resourcefulness earning them the respect and admiration of everyone around them. But the enemy was not defeated yet. They regrouped quickly, and intelligence reports indicated that they were planning a major offensive to reclaim lost territory. The resistance knew they had to act swiftly to prevent this and capitalize on their recent victories. Captain Anderson called a meeting, outlining a bold plan to strike at the heart of the enemy's command center. Liam listened intently, his mind already working through the logistics of the mission. It would be their most dangerous operation yet, but it was a necessary risk. As the briefing ended, he gathered his team, Sarah, Marco, Mia, and Rust, for a final discussion. "This is it," Liam said, his voice steady but filled with the weight of their task. "We've come so far, and now we have a chance to make a real difference. We're going to hit them where it hurts and end this once and for all." Sarah nodded, her eyes fierce with determination. "We're ready, Liam, whatever it takes." Marco and Mia echoed her sentiment, their faces set with resolve. Rust, ever vigilant, sat by Liam's side, his ears pricked and eyes sharp. The dog seemed to sense the gravity of the moment, his loyalty and courage unwavering. The journey to the enemy command center was fraught with danger. They moved under the cover of night, using the shadows to conceal their movements. The terrain was treacherous, but they navigated it with the skill and precision they had honed through countless missions. Every step brought them closer to their goal, and every moment was a testament to their unity and determination. As they approached the command center, they were met with a formidable obstacle. The building was heavily fortified, with guards patrolling the perimeter and watchtowers scanning the area. Liam and his team took cover behind a row of dilapidated buildings, formulating their plan. "Sarah, you and Marco take out the guards on the left side," Liam instructed. "Mia and I will handle the right. Rust, stay close and be ready to move when I signal." They moved with precision, their actions synchronized and silent. Sarah and Marco dispatched the guards with swift, lethal efficiency, their movements fluid and coordinated. On the right, Liam and Mia did the same, neutralizing the sentries and clearing the way for their approach. With the perimeter secured, they advanced towards the main building. The command center loomed before them, a stark reminder of the enemy's power and influence. But they were undeterred. They had come too far to turn back now. Inside, they encountered fierce resistance. The enemy soldiers were well-trained and heavily armed, but Liam's team fought with a ferocity that took them by surprise. Liam led the charge, his rifle blazing as he cleared a path through the chaos. Mia, Sarah, and Marco fought by his side, their movements seamless and deadly. Rust was a whirlwind of fury, his powerful jaws and swift movements taking down soldiers with ruthless efficiency. The dog's presence was a constant source of inspiration, his bravery and loyalty spurring the group on even in the face of overwhelming odds. As they pushed deeper into the command center, they reached the control room. It was heavily guarded, but Liam had a plan. "We need to create a diversion," he said, his mind racing. "Sarah, set charges on those support beams. Marco, Mia, cover her." They moved quickly, setting the explosives and preparing for the final assault. Just as the last charge was in place, the room erupted in chaos. The enemy had realized their presence and was converging on their position. Liam pressed the detonator, and the charges exploded with a deafening roar. The shockwave shook the building, sending debris flying and disorienting the enemy forces. Seizing the moment, Liam and his team launched their assault on the control room, fighting with everything they had. The battle was intense, but their determination and unity proved unstoppable. One by one, the enemy soldiers fell, and soon the control room was theirs. They quickly secured the area, disabling the enemy's communications and seizing vital intelligence. As the dust settled, Liam looked around at his friends. They were battered and bruised, but victorious. They had struck a crippling blow to the enemy, and the tide of the war had turned in their favor. Captain Anderson's voice crackled over the radio. "Mission accomplished, Liam. You did it. The enemy is in disarray and their command structure is broken. This is the beginning of the end." Liam felt a surge of relief and pride. They had faced impossible odds and emerged victorious. But the fight was not over yet. There was still work to be done, and they would face it together. That night, as they returned to the resistance base, they were greeted with cheers and applause. The fighters gathered around, their faces alight with hope and gratitude. Liam's team had become legends, their bravery and determination inspiring all who heard their story. As they sat around a fire, the mood was one of quiet celebration. They shared stories and laughter, their bond stronger than ever. Rust lay beside Liam, his head resting on the boy's lap. Liam stroked the dog's fur, feeling a deep sense of contentment and pride. They had come so far, and there was still much to do. But for the first time in a long while, Liam felt a sense of hope. They had proven that they could make a difference, that they could fight back against the darkness and emerge victorious. As the fire crackled and the stars twinkled above, Liam looked around at his friends. They were more than just survivors. They were a family, united by their shared struggle and unbreakable bond. And together they would face whatever challenges lay ahead, ready to fight for a new dawn and a better future. The war was far from over, but they had shown that even in the darkest times, hope could shine through. And with Rust by his side, Liam knew that they would face whatever came next with courage and determination. Together, they would build a new world, one battle at a time.